So it's mid-afternoon. I've just gotten done replenishing live food in the warming area. Collectively, they went through 20, that's Daddy. Is that Daddy? Yeah, he always flies into the manzanita first and then he comes around the corner because they're really brave. They're only about 1.5 feet away. So Wes always goes for egg food and sprouted seed. And Buttercup always goes for the worms first. So that's good. That makes me think that having both parents raise the chicks is a good idea. If they have preferences, I don't know if they be interesting to know whether they somehow coordinate so that the net nutrition is balanced. Don't know. So when people say feed plenty of live food, this is the second batch. In this case, this is all buffalo worm. This morning was half mealworm, half buffalo worm. About the same amount. So there were 40 this morning. I'm guessing there's about the same. They also get dry fruit flies of a different type, different species, and they get termites sparingly. And I will replenish the live food 3 times a day. So many things to learn about these guys. I mentioned in previous videos that one of the things I wanted to learn how to do was to work with mixed species in an aviary. And one of the unintended consequences of feeding so much live food when they are off cycle is that you can accidentally trigger a breeding condition in your other pairs. And so the parrotfinches have been trying to disassemble the aviary for a few days, which is what they do when they're thinking about going into a breeding cycle. And the goldbreasts have been, futzing with nesting material just a little bit and checking out a couple of different nest sites that they're sort of interested in. Normally they wouldn't be thinking about this for another few months, but the live food is what does that. And so you have to be careful about your breeding program. But I'm learning how to manage that, and it's an interesting problem to have. The only reason I have these extra nest sites in the aviary and nesting material is I've tried to minimize the disruption while the twin spots were sitting and raising the chicks. And honestly, the only pair I have to worry about going into the new breeding cycle are the parents. I don't want them to abandon the chicks. It is not unusual for the parents to start getting ready for a second clutch as the chicks are still even dependent on the parents and growing up. But certain live foods, like the termites, are a pretty strong trigger. And if they have too much live food before the chicks hatch, it can actually trigger them to go into another breeding cycle and then abandon the eggs or the chicks. So I'm past that point now. Don't need to worry about it, but I've also cut back on the termites. may have mentioned, and you'll notice that it's dark outside, I am getting up at 5 in the morning to make sure that I have live food ready to go for when the lights come on in the aviary. And the lights have to come on because I need the long days, and days are getting shorter in the northern hemisphere, but the birds, to them, this is their breeding season. And if you don't have live food early in the morning, it's possible that they toss the chicks because they don't think they can find enough food for them. So I didn't want to take that chance. And I'm always kind of half awake when I'm doing the videos, and I know the lighting isn't so good, but that's why it's dark out. Something weird happening. Alright, that's what's happening. So, Molly is starting to chase everybody away from possible nesting sites, and you had better not be chasing my parents away from their babies. If you're doing that, you have to go to jail. So the babies are 11 days old, and this is the first time that I have seen the mom interested in nesting materials. So with twin spot babies, after they fledge, they often return to the nest at night for a few nights. And so if the parents are interested in starting a second clutch, they often or typically would build another nest. And you wouldn't want them to nest in the same one they've used anyway. But this behavior at 11 days, I'm paying attention to it because it might be an indication of where they think the babies are at. And by my schedule, they need 5 more days before they should fledge. That would be the earliest. So we'll see if I'm right. Usually I take the fruit flies and I dump them onto the little island, and they end up eventually in the moat. But sometimes I take the actual canister and I put a lid on it that has a hole in the center so the fruit flies can crawl out over the course of the day. And this is the first time I've seen Wesley picking the fruit flies directly off of the canister. When they jump off, they sometimes end up in the grass, and you can see Lena picks them out of the grass. But they actually almost always end up in the moat, it seems, anyway, because they're attracted to the moisture. It's the first time I've heard Wesley singing in a long time. Trying to see if the babies are responding to the call of Daddy. I don't see any movement. This morning was the first time I heard the babies calling without begging. And they were shifting around in there because the hanging nest is genius. You can see it moving around. Getting close. Stop trying to pull apart the aviary. Thank you. Huh. Well, I guess this is a preview of of an upcoming video. The continuing saga of Sven and Lena. There's a reason why she's chasing him. Doesn't want him to creep up on her. Well, thanks for clicking on the video. If all goes well, the next video will show you baby twin spots. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot. I have something else to show you too. Okay, you remember that I moved the other twin spots, except for Moody, back into the basement, and I put Julius and Rain together in a flight cage. That's the bachelor flight cage. That's Julius. He's up in that. Where? Okay, does that work? Yep. There he is. That's Julius singing. That's Daddy. Rain is in the nest, which is. That's really hard. Where? There's the nest right up there. Okay, let's see. Just 3. There should be one more today. Boy, they're looking pretty white already.